The American Dream, a beacon of hope, a promise of prosperity and upward mobility. It whispers of a land where hard work paves the path to success regardless of background. This dream, deeply ingrained in the fabric of American identity, has fueled ambition and driven generations to strive for a better life. Yet, for Black Americans, the American dream has often felt like a distant promise, a shimmering mirage in the desert of inequality. The ideal of a level playing field, where opportunities abound for all, rings hollow in the face of centuries of systemic racism and persistent discrimination. While the American dream proclaims that all are created equal and endowed with the same opportunities, the reality for Black Americans has been starkly different. The path to achieving this dream has been riddled with obstacles, often insurmountable, that have created a chasm between aspiration and reality. This essay delves into the other side of the Black American dream, exploring the historical and contemporary challenges that have made this dream more elusive for some than others. The story of Black America is inextricably intertwined with the legacy of slavery, a dark chapter in history that has left an indelible mark on the nation. For centuries, the institution of slavery robbed Black people of their freedom, dignity, and basic human rights. Families were torn apart, and individuals were subjected to unimaginable cruelty and dehumanization. It created a system of oppression that permeated every facet of life, denying Black Americans access to education, economic opportunities, and the very foundations of a just and equitable society. The effects of this systemic oppression were felt long after the abolition of slavery. The wounds of slavery run deep, leaving indelible scars on the social and economic fabric of America. These scars are not just physical but also psychological, affecting generations of Black Americans. Even after emancipation, the systematic disenfranchisement of Black Americans continued through Jim Crow laws, segregation, and discriminatory practices that permeated housing, education, and employment. These laws were designed to maintain the racial hierarchy and ensure that Black Americans remained second-class citizens. These historical injustices have cast a long shadow, creating a legacy of disadvantage that continues to impact Black Americans today. The economic disparities, educational inequities, and social injustices that stem from this history are still evident in modern society. The echoes of the past resonate in the present, shaping the realities of Black communities and hindering their ability to fully realize the American dream. The struggle for equality and justice is ongoing, as the remnants of these historical injustices continue to manifest in various forms. The historical context is crucial to understanding the unique challenges that Black Americans face in their pursuit of the American dream. It is a context that highlights the resilience and strength of Black communities, as well as the systemic barriers that have been erected to impede their progress. It is a history marked by resilience, perseverance, and the unwavering pursuit of equality, but also one burdened by the enduring weight of systemic racism. Understanding this history is essential to addressing the inequalities that persist and to forging a path toward a more just and equitable future for all. Systemic racism, a pervasive and insidious force, operates like an invisible hand, shaping outcomes and perpetuating disparities across generations. It is woven into the very fabric of American institutions, manifesting in policies, practices, and cultural norms that privilege some while disadvantaging others based solely on race. From the criminal justice system to healthcare, from education to housing, systemic racism creates a tangled web of disadvantage that disproportionately impacts Black Americans. It is reflected in the racial wealth gap, the overrepresentation of Black men and women in the prison system, and the disparities in health outcomes. Systemic racism operates not through overt acts of discrimination, but through subtle, often unconscious biases and institutional structures that perpetuate inequality. It is a system that advantages some by default while placing others at a disadvantage from birth, creating an uneven playing field where opportunities are not equally distributed. Section 4. Economic Disparities, a Tale of Two Americas. The American dream is often equated with economic prosperity, the ability to achieve financial stability, own a home, provide for one's family, and pursue a life of comfort and security. This dream, however, is not equally accessible to all. While some families enjoy the fruits of their labor, living in affluent neighborhoods and celebrating their successes, others face a starkly different reality. However, for Black Americans, the path to economic security is often fraught with obstacles rooted in systemic racism and historical disadvantage. The legacy of segregation and racial injustice continues to cast a long shadow over their economic prospects. These barriers are not just remnants of the past, but are actively shaping the present and future. The racial wealth gap stands as a stark reminder of the economic disparities that persist in America. This gap is not merely a statistical anomaly, but a reflection of deep-seated inequities that have been built into the very fabric of our society. The numbers tell a story of systemic exclusion and economic marginalization. Black families, on average, possess a fraction of the wealth of white families. This disparity is evident in the contrasting living conditions and financial stability between Black and white households. While some Black families have managed to achieve financial success, they are the exception rather than the rule. This gap is not a result of individual choices, but rather a consequence of centuries of discriminatory policies and practices that have limited Black Americans' ability to accumulate wealth and pass it down through generations. From redlining and housing discrimination to unequal access to education and employment opportunities, these systemic barriers have created a cycle of poverty that is difficult to break. From access to capital and loan discrimination to disparities in inheritance and homeownership rates, the economic landscape for Black Americans is vastly different from that of their white counterparts. These disparities are not just about money. They are about access to opportunities and the ability to build a better future for one's family. These disparities are not merely statistics, but represent real-life consequences that impact everything from educational opportunities to health outcomes and overall well-being. The economic challenges faced by Black Americans affect their ability to access quality education, healthcare, and other essential services, ultimately influencing their quality of life and future prospects. The Tale of Two Americas is a story of inequality that demands our attention and action. Section 5. Navigating a World of Bias. Personal Stories of Triumph and Struggle. The impact of systemic racism and inequality is not an abstract concept, but a lived reality for millions of Black Americans. It permeates every aspect of their lives, from the neighborhoods they live in to the schools their children attend, and even the jobs they are able to secure. This pervasive issue affects their daily experiences and shapes their futures in profound ways. Behind the statistics and data points are personal stories of triumph, resilience, and also heartbreaking struggles against a system that often feels rigged against them. These stories are not just numbers. They are the lived experiences of real people who face daily battles just to achieve a semblance of normalcy and success. Take, for example, the story of Naim, a single mother working tirelessly to provide for her children. She wakes up before dawn and works late into the night, balancing her time between multiple jobs and her responsibilities at home. Her dedication is unwavering, yet the financial strain remains a constant burden. Despite her unwavering work ethic, she struggles to make ends meet, juggling multiple low-wage jobs that barely cover the cost of living. The stress of financial insecurity weighs heavily on her, but she continues to push forward, driven by the hope of a better future for her children. She dreams of owning a home, of providing her children with opportunities she never had, but the reality of her circumstances feels like an insurmountable barrier. The dream of homeownership and financial stability seems distant, yet she remains hopeful and continues to strive for a better life. Or consider the experience of Naim, a young Black man who has been stopped and frisked by police multiple times, despite having no criminal record. Each encounter is a stark reminder of the biases that exist within the system, and the emotional toll it takes on him is immense. Each encounter leaves him feeling profiled, humiliated, and distrustful of the very institutions meant to protect and serve him. The repeated experiences of being unfairly targeted erode his sense of security and trust in the justice system, leaving lasting scars on his psyche. These stories, while individual, reflect the shared experiences of countless Black Americans who navigate a world where their race often determines their opportunities and interactions with society. Their resilience and determination in the face of systemic barriers are a testament to their strength, but also a call to action for a more equitable and just society.